Hello, you've tuned into the GFree and Happy Show tonight. Tonight I have Paula Cooper, the CEO and founder of DineAware.com. We all want to dine confidently, especially when we dine out. So stay tuned and listen to her story. Hello and welcome to the GFree and Happy Show that happens every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Kathy, and I have been GFree and Happy for, we're going to say 5 years now. Actually, February 2014 will be my 5th anniversary. So tonight I have Paula Cooper. She's the CEO and founder of DineAware.com. It's on the back screen here. It's something that I've talked about on the show before, but I actually have somebody that owns a business all about educating the restaurants, the servers, everybody that works at the restaurant. She's going to be educating them to help all of us to return to their restaurants and for all of us to enjoy our dinner with our family and friends. We'll be talking to Paula in just a few minutes, but first, episode 45 of the GFree and Happy Show is brought to you by Ovaleye TV. Ovaleye TV believes in building community through shared experiences. We produce professional live webcasts that bring tribes together. Visit Ovaleye TV today. Okay, it's time. Let's bring on Paula. Hold on. There she is.
Am
Hi,
I there
Paula. You're here.
Hi.
You're live.
Yay.
Yay.
Thanks so much for having me on your show, Kathy.
Thank you. I did not know you were from Ontario, Canada. So that's like the farthest away.
It is.
So
It's a huge plane ride.
Yes. So
We call it the Big Smoke here in Toronto.
Oh.
Don't ask me why, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I was going to. So, all right. Thanks for saying that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Like you said, I'm the founder and CEO of Dine Aware, and I'm celiac. I've been diagnosed with celiac disease now for about 4 years, and I guess that's why I'm sitting here. I've started a blog recently. That's not what the business is about, but I started a blog recently, and my very first article that I post was why I'm thankful for celiac disease. And it sounds like a very strange thing to say, but
Actually, yes.
but I am. I'm very, very thankful for celiac disease, and that's why I'm sitting here today, talking about my journey and how I went from somebody with celiac disease to a celiac customer to CEO. So
That's a really nice way of saying that. From a celiac to celiac customer to CEO of a business that's helping all of us in the best way possible, because we all want to have a great time with our family and friends going out to dinner. And that is a huge stress point for all of us, especially people with gluten intolerance or peanut allergies, you name it. You wonder, unless you do a ton of research beforehand, and you don't always have time. So you wonder if it's safe. And tell us how Dine Aware became Dine Aware, you are the founder and CEO. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so basically what happened, I decided to escape winter one February, and I drove down to Miami.
Oh, nice.
No, very nice. and I spent the month of February in Miami, and I expected this amazing trip, this life affirming trip to look at life and answer questions and enjoy the beach and eat all of this amazing Cuban food. And what ended up happening the entire month that I was there, I was completely sick the entire time I was there, and I found that I realized one thing about my trip to Miami, that in terms of, because I was sick because of cross-contamination, not because I was really eating a lot of the wrong foods, but I found that I had two language barriers. One, because I couldn't speak Spanish, but even when I did the research, with establishments and restaurants to find out whether or not they had a gluten-free menu or they could accommodate somebody like myself. Even when I went in there, I found that staff had a very difficult time communicating with me, and it was like speaking another language.
Like you said, Martian.
Martian. Exactly. And that was my aha moment. I thought, there's got to be a way for the industry to be able to communicate with me in a way that they can understand me, that they can give me the information that I'm looking for, what they have, what they don't have, how they prevent cross contact, how they don't prevent cross contact, and they can give that all up to me up front, so that way I can make an informed decision about whether or not it's safe for me to eat there. And so, when I was on the very long drive back from Miami, I had I started to think about how we could do this, right? I started to look at the issues of the industry. There's a 50% turnover rate in food service. So it's very difficult for restaurants and other types of establishments to keep their trainings up to date. And so, I looked at all of that, and I always say that, you give a hungry woman a hungry problem and she'll solve it. And that's really what I've done. So I've created, that's basically what Dine Aware is. It improves the customer experience, so that, anybody who's watching this show that has celiac, what it's like. You go sit down at a restaurant, you say, I have celiac, and then you begin the 20-question interrogation, right?
Can you eat meat? Can you eat wheat? Can you eat pasta? Bread. Here, I'll give you bread. You'll be fine, right?
Exactly. And then so you start your interrogation. What's in the food? What's the ingredients? Do you use cross contact prevention practices? Do you change your gloves? And it's embarrassing. I've been a source of entertainment for other tables around me watching this, right?
Well, and I used to be with somebody when we'd go on to Christmas parties. The guy that works for us, he used to go into the kitchen, or he would go into the kitchen and talk to the cooks and look at the kitchen. And I never understood until I became gluten-free why it's so important what's behind those doors.
Well, there's such a level of trust that you put into everybody in the establishment, right? You tell them what you need, and then you just release it and hope that they're going to be and hope. And I thought there had to be a better way. There had to be a way that I could travel. There had to be a way that I could go out to any establishment. It didn't have to be a restaurant. What about if I was at an amusement park or a hotel? There had to be a standard out there that taught staff how to be able to speak my food allergy and intolerance language, which I called FAI. And when I went searching for it, it didn't exist. So I created it. And that's really where Dine Aware came from.
And that's what usually what businesses are created out of, a pain point in your life, and you're creating this way of making your pain point go away, and you dine confidently.
I do, and that's really what it's about. It's about making dining inclusive again, making it an enjoyable experience. I don't expect to be able to eat everywhere, but I don't want to feel like I'm a big, huge pain in the butt everywhere I go.
And another good point, because I don't have to eat everywhere too, but I don't want to be the pain in the butt when you're dining out with your friends and family. I want to enjoy and not worry about things either.
Exactly. You're always excluded. You're excluded from eating, and then you're excluded from participating because I always preface it. I'm the high maintenance one in the group, but I'm really not.
I don't know about you, but I'm the only one in my group. Yes. So. Yeah. All right. So Dine Aware, you created this business around your pain point. What do you do for the restaurants?
Okay. And so basically what happens, establishments sign what we call this awareness commitment. And the awareness commitment means two things to you and me as a customer. It means, number one, that that all of their staff are Dine Aware certified 100% of the time, so that anytime that you go into a restaurant that's been Dine Aware committed, virtually all of their staff, everybody from dishwasher right up to manager are Dine Aware certified. And that's a change, because the way that most training happens now, it's essential staff like executive chefs or managers. So there's nothing really that gets at the entire food service industry. So that you know that. And then also that establishments have adopted our standard cross-contact prevention practices. I'm not asking anybody to create a separate kitchen, although it's really awesome if you want to go ahead and do that. These are basic cross-contact prevention practices that really work with what they already do around food safety already. So that, you and I as a customer know that when we're walking down the street and we see the Dine Aware symbol, there's a level of trust there that that they're going to be able to speak your language. And that's really what Dine Aware is. It's about getting the information, the awareness into the hands of the staff so that they can speak your language, and also that they can communicate with each other inside of the restaurant, so that chain of communication is kept intact, from front of house to back of house. So everybody's on the same page, because it's, what it's like. If not everybody's on the same page, then, that's where mistakes happen. That's where reactions happen.
Well, and the only place that I've ever seen like the stuff you're talking about, like the perfect scenario, is Disneyland. When we went in March with the whole family, I did research, I did a piece on it, but I felt totally confident about going through that whole park, eating from the food carts, because I knew what was going on and how safe they were. But they even have a little spot for gluten-free cooking too in their kitchens,
yeah,
which I've never heard of with anybody else. So when you mentioned that was a good point. Even a little portion of each kitchen that's out there with a restaurant, it can't be that hard to just have a little piece that is safe.
Well, even when they adopt our standard cross-contact prevention practices, there's simple things like creating a protective barrier, or having labeled utensils, things like that. And
Nice.
But the difference with that is, again, what Dine Aware really is about is not about accommodation. It is really about changing the language around how you communicate with your guests. So you can say it's proactive, it's not reactive. So the establishments have they've had the training, they've had these discussions with their staff. And so they're able to explain to the guests, this is what we can do, and this is what we can't do. This is what we have, and this is what we don't have. And so that way you can make that informed decision that I'm so fond of talking about.
And it's very important too. So you go in there, and do you have this program online, or do you go into their kitchens? How do you do this? I'm curious.
So once the establishments commit, in order for them to display the Dine Aware symbol, like I said, they commit to having Dine Aware certification as a hiring qualification. So that means everybody all the time. And the certifications are super easy, online, on demand. They're really created from the standard operating procedures of restaurants, of the food service business already. So it's created within a framework and within a language that they already understand. So we're not talking above anybody's head, And like I always say, in my old life, I used to be a regulatory compliance consultant. It sounds very fun, I know. But my job was, you had government on one hand, and then you had business on this way other hand, and somewhere in the middle was a sweet spot, something that made a win-win situation for everybody. And that's exactly what I've done with Dine Aware. You've got your FAI customers on one hand, you have business on the other. Somewhere in the middle is that sweet spot, and that's exactly what Dine Aware is.
I like that. Can you explain what FAI is?
Food allergy and intolerance.
I love that.
That's my very lazy way of saying that.
And a perfect way to say it. So FAI.
Yes. That's the thing, right? Dine Aware isn't just about celiac disease.
Where's your Dine Aware symbol on your website?
It's right there, right up the top.
Right
if you
there.
go back up, you can see it right there.
Yeah, right here.
The little check mark. Yeah.
Right at the top. It's the logo, basically, right here. This is my little pointer. So watch for Dine Aware to be everywhere.
That's right. World domination.
World domination. I love it. And then show the website here again one more time. Just keep it on. It's commit and certified. And each page, too, like for certified, it has why, and then it says get certified. And the same with the commit page. And it'll say why and how. So it's really to the point. A nice, clean website, by the way. So let's talk about, how do you reach out to these restaurants? How can we help you?
So that's super easy. You basically have to ask them. The more that the word gets out, and the more that establishments hear that this is something that customers want, the better able it is the better able they are to make that decision to commit. It's all about customer demand. I am a customer, but I'm also a business owner, so they'd listen to non-business owner customers better than they will me, right? And so if you go to the first page, my very landing page, there's a couple of ways that you can do that. Right on there, there's a little Twitter button. You can hit that button. Do you see that little guy there, our little Tweety bird there?
Right here.
Yeah.
Let's go to Twitter.
Yeah.
Here we are. Nice Twitter page too, by the way.
Thank you. But if you actually, there's a little button there with the tweet bird on the front page. If you go back to the landing page, if you click that, it's actually going to pop up a message, and then you just basically add the Twitter handle of the restaurant that you want. A little circle.
Wait a minute.
Are you on the landing page? I can't see your head.
Yeah. Oh, right here. Duh. Oh, yeah.
See, and that's all you do. And then you just add the Twitter handle of the establishment that you want to see commit. And then, the more they get that, if you want McDonald's to commit, or
hello, let's not go
or your favorite local restaurant, to commit, then just click on that. Even we all have our favorite local restaurants that we know that do a fabulous job, accommodating people like us. But how do you know? How do you get the word out? Well, the Dine Aware symbol really helps highlight that amazing job that they do.
Okay, one more time. Let's to help Paula get restaurants on board Dine Aware. We just go back to her website, please, and right here, please commit. If you click on that button, this Twitter page comes up, and voila, add. Go ahead.
I was going to say that also on, if you go to spread the word, there's a poster that pops up, and it shows, you can print out that poster, you can email that poster. It also connects to all of our other social media sites as well. There you go.
Bingo. I love it. You're very helpful in sharing.
Thank you.
Nicely done. So we're all going to be doing this, because actually I didn't touch on one of my favorite blog posts of yours. By the way, her blog is dineaware.wordpress.com. It's all about her talk, what Paula has on her mind. It has a beautiful wine glass in the background. So
very important.
We're going to talk about the one that is to be or not to be. Gluten-free menus. Now on this, I love what you say, and you say, as a guest, I understand that 99.9% of establishments cannot provide a fully dedicated environment. Given this, I'm looking for a business to be able to do a few key things, and you list them on your blog here, and the first one is the ingredient list.
So important.
How many, I don't know any restaurants that actually give all the ingredients. You kind of have to ask around. So perfect. And the next one, separate. Tell me about separate.
So, and again, that really comes back to the commitment they make to cross-contact prevention. There are lots of ways that you can separate. You need to, establishments need to decide what's the best fit for them. So things like creating a protective barrier, separating ingredients, especially with double dipping. Those mayo jars and those peanut butter jars, those are terrible. In a lot of restaurants you'll see prepped lines, and so that they'll have spoons, and then they'll spread it on bread, and then it goes right back. Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's fine if that's what they want, but to be able to communicate that to the guest and say, look, your ingredients aren't safe. But, if it's a ketchup or a mayo, I recommend restaurants maybe having a separate bottle for that that's specifically for those FAI guests so that, you can still prepare those sorts of things. We talk about making sure that you have dedicated work surfaces. There's ways that you can create barriers. It's not safe for everybody, but there's ways that having instead of using a grill, like if you were using a grill and everything gets grilled on there, then using a separate saute pan to create a dish for your guests. Are easy to do. Special packaging. Separation can go on, and that's something we actually do teach in the certification. So we a part of the commitment when we teach establishments kind of the options that they can pick for separation, but we also teach staff how to keep that separation. Things like changing gloves. People think that because they're wearing gloves, then that prevents cross contact for people like us, and it does nothing to do that. So we talk about that gloves alone aren't enough.
Well, it's funny you said all those things too, and the separate is really important because when I make my husband's lunch in the morning, I use a napkin to wipe off, the counter, the knife, everything, because he eats gluten bread. I'm super safe, but
he doesn't do that himself.
Oh, sorry. Good one, Paula.
Hey, wait a second.
The producer, my husband. I love it. But see, actually,
I love my wife.
But it's really important that I keep my kitchen safe, and I know I'm super clean with all that stuff. So, hello, I didn't think of all the things in the back that they're touching and cross-contaminating with this separate, even the grill, and the pans. So, thank you for that. And then the next one is staff communication and training. That's pretty easy. You're just you're training all
that's
that.
Dine Aware.
Yeah.
That's Dine Aware. That's all. That's everything that we do.
And then guest communication. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so for example, like I said, Dine Aware is about creating an experience and about changing that experience. So, for example, if you sit down at an establishment and you say you're celiac and you launch into your 20-question interrogation, in the world of Dine Aware, that wouldn't happen. In the world of Dine Aware, what happens is that you sit down, you say, I'm celiac, and your server would already have the knowledge to say, this is what we have, this is not what we don't have, this is how we prevent cross contact in our kitchen, and answer be able to answer any questions that you have about ingredients, or be able to get somebody in the restaurant to be able to answer those questions without you having to prompt in a way that it centers you out. And so it really changes that experience for you. And I've had that happen maybe twice since I've been diagnosed, and I can tell you, I'm like a huge, massive fan of those places that can do those sorts of things, because in that way I can make an informed decision, right? If I know that they're not using a dedicated fryer, then I know I can't have the French fries. I can never have the French fries.
And Red Robin's very good about that. They now have a dedicated fryer, but at the beginning they didn't, and they told me. And I like that places like that do that. And they didn't have to run back and ask. They already knew that stuff.
Well, that's it. And to be able to just tell you up front without prompting makes a huge difference to any sort of person that has a food allergy intolerance, because it's so complicated every time you go out. And I've been hearing from moms all the time that, that have children that have food FAIs. I don't have to say it, food allergies and intolerance anymore. That their children have developed anxiety eating out because they're always having to manage that interaction in an embarrassing way. Dine Aware really is all about creating a happy experience for guests again. That's really what my goal is, and I'm really super passionate about it. And that's why I want the world domination, because I want to travel to Italy and be able to eat it.
Could I come too?
Yes.
I love that. That is a perfect goal for you too. All right, the last one is trust. That you put on this. So trust, you just basically said it. Trust is everything.
It's trust is huge, again, when you whether you're at a quick service, or whether you're ordering at a hotel, or you're in an amusement park, or you're in a sports stadium, when you communicate your needs to somebody, you do release that at some point, and you just have to trust that they believe you, which in the case of, unfortunately, with gluten intolerance, doesn't often happen, or not often, but there's
No,
a lot
it's
of
true.
backlash, and that they believe you, that they're going to tell the right people, that the chain of communication is going to be kept intact, that everybody's going to do their best. If they can accommodate you, that everybody's going to do their best to make sure that they're going to prevent a reaction. And there's a huge amount of trust in there, and so we talk about that a lot in our certifications, about about how to create that customer experience, and what the consequences are if that goes wrong, which can be quite severe.
Very nice. This was such a fun. I mean, it's so important.
Oh, is it over?
Yeah, well, yeah, one more. I want you to tell us where we can find you, but hold on. I'm going to do this one more time because this is so cool that you put this on your website and that we can help you out here with the restaurant. So let's go back to our website and look right there at that round circle, pop at it, and give her the restaurant you want her to contact. Let's all do that. I think it's wonderful that you're doing this. Thank you. And so easy. Your website's full of information. So how can we follow your information, and where is it located?
My entire life is online. Yeah, Twitter. We've got Twitter. Our Twitter handle is Dine Aware. If you want to follow me personally, it's Paula __. That's 2 underscores. Cooper. Yes, 2. But you can find me. We're always tweeting back and forth with our PR. So
you are very active, I have to say, on social media.
Yep, we're getting there. You can find us on Facebook. Is also Dine Aware.
At the bottom here too. Dine Aware. That's easy. And Twitter was Dine Aware too.
Instagram, Pinterest, and then of course my blog, which is called Inside Paula.
And I don't have it on the lower thirds, but please check it out. Inside Paula. It's full of great stuff. And I think we should all be very active in talking about what's in our mind about this gluten-free stuff, celiac, and how we can help each other.
Yes, thank you. No, I've been really pleased with the feedback that I've gotten from the blog. People like my story, and they feel very connected to the story, and it's been very gratifying. I've just started the blog about 5 days ago, and it's already been the response has been really good. So
nice to hear, Paula, and thank you so much for being on my show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Okay, thanks. All right. Thanks, so you can check out dineaware.com. Please help Paula get these restaurants going so we can dine out confidently. It's a huge thing. So this Thursday, October 24th, is Food Day. And let me get the website, because I want all of you to check out foodday.org and try and do something. They give you a ton of things to do. Even tweet out some whole food recipes that day from Pinterest. Anything to get the movement going, because this is a big deal. October 24th, check out foodday.org. And next week, I am sharing my top 10 favorite trick-or-treat candies, because I want all the kids to enjoy Halloween that have food allergies. So I'm going to hopefully dress up and have a good time, and probably trying a couple treats myself too. So check out Monday night, my first Halloween show. Until then, have a happy GFree week.